You're listening to the Bulldog Insider Podcast, brought to you by Essentia Health.
It only takes one step, twist, or crunch to know something doesn't feel right. Essentia Health's orthopedic and sports medicine team gets you back to doing what you love with commitment, resilience, intention. We're here to keep you moving forward. Visit essentiahealth.org to learn more about orthopedics and sports medicine, like nowhere else.
Hello and welcome to the Bulldog Insider Podcast, brought to you by Essentia Health. I'm Matt Wellens, the Bulldogs hockey beat writer at the Duluth News Tribune and the Rink Live.
And I'm Zach Schneider, the television voice of UMD hockey on My Nine Sports.
This week on the podcast, we're joined by Kelly Hinsett's favorite Bulldog. He's a junior defenseman out of Andover and a 2020 third-round pick of the Chicago Blackhawks. Welcome to the podcast, Wyatt Kaiser.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
Did we have you on this podcast when Kelly was a co-host for the brief moment?
I don't think so.
Don't think so.
No, you know what? I might have been.
We might have got
Zoom.
you on here with Kelly. I feel like she would have requested, that would have been like in her contract while subbing for Zach is, we need Wyatt Kaiser on the podcast.
Surprised you weren't like a weekly guest during that stretch.
But here you go, Kelly. This episode is for you. Just all Wyatt Kaiser for the next half hour or so here. Wyatt, this has kind of been a different season for you in many ways. We were kind of talking about it a little bit before we recorded here. First one in your college career without any pandemic restrictions. The first one also where you're the veteran blue line, one of the two veteran blue liners on this team, the one that's been a Bulldog the longest. And the first one, too, where your team's kind of endured some competitive struggles during the season. I'm wondering, what has this season been like for you so far? And what have you kind of learned about yourself in this new year?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot to unpack with this season. It's different kind of being a veteran guy coming in and having a younger group to kind of try to lead the way and do things right. And without the COVID restrictions where you're kind of guessing, you're not really 100% on certain things, where this year it's kind of, like we're okay and these are what we're kind of doing. So, no, it's been fun.
I mean, without the COVID restrictions, you get to actually have a life and be a college student. Too here. That's something you didn't get to do your first 2 years of college very much, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard, though, as well. I mean, we're so busy with school and hockey where even, like, those freshman years, I feel like you build a lot of connections and different things, which we really didn't build. So you're kind of just with the guys, which is nice. You can go out and about and kind of do things, see things. But I don't know, not a ton has changed, really. You
realized you didn't miss that much of college life as a freshman and sophomore because you are so busy as a D1 student athlete.
Yeah,
What's it like being that veteran blue liner now on this team, the guy that's been there for 3 years, especially after being part of a group that had been here for forever? Let's just say it, Louis Rail and Matt Anderson. Those guys were here forever. Has it changed how you play? Has it changed how you connect and interact with teammates? What's it like now being the veteran guy?
I would say on ice, a ton hasn't changed necessarily for me. Keep kind of trying to play the same way, improving and whatnot. But off ice, maybe just a little bit more vocal, trying to bring guys with me to do certain things. So if it's working out after a game or just smoothies or just kind of nutrition, like just trying to bring guys with and help them out as much as I can. And then on the bench, maybe just a little bit more vocal, trying to keep that energy alive, kind of just trying to lead the way a little bit if I can, tried to help out, but not be a pain or a know-it-all or whatnot.
You're one of those guys that doesn't have a letter on your chest this year, but probably is considered one of the leaders in the locker room, especially among the defensive core. What'd you learn from guys like Matt Anderson and Louis Rail when you played with them about how to be that veteran presence on the blue line for this program?
Yeah, what I learned from them is it doesn't really matter what's going on, just do things right and be a good teammate. Like even when things aren't going well, or because last year we struggled, we were almost 500 going into playoffs. So like we had our losses, we had our struggles, but it wasn't like there was never a time where it's like panic or don't like change things. It's like keep doing things right and it will eventually work. So just kind of staying with the process, being positive, kind of continuing to build is something that I learned from those guys. Just being consistent every day, bringing the work ethic.
This season, Matt's mentioned, and you mentioned last year, had its own challenges, as far as the results through midway through the year. This one has certainly presented some different challenges with a younger group that's come along. But over the past 3 weekends, maybe 4 weekends that we've seen, this group has started to come together, put together some really good performances. What has been the change from start of this season to now that you've seen with this group, whether it's with the older guys, understanding how better to kind of communicate with that younger group, and then their progression as a lot of the freshmen and new faces here?
Yeah, so with the younger guys, they've definitely, it comes with experience. I think a lot of the things that you start to become better at, it's understanding times of the game, decision making, just understanding the game a little bit more. So I think they've gotten a little bit more comfortable in their roles and kind of playing college hockey a little bit more and feeling more comfortable within the coaching staff and also the team. Like, it takes a little while to settle into a team for a lot of guys. You're in a new environment, new coaching staff, new friends, like teammates. It's tough. So I don't know. I think they've been settling in a little bit more, and when they are playing well, we play well. I think we need a full team that plays well. And the older guys it takes a little bit of learning process to kind of work what works with guys as well. So communicating just how to get guys fired up or just different things. But no, I think we're kind of everybody's getting on the same page a little bit.
You mentioned last year, you guys, it's amazing how the end of a season can cloud everyone's judgment of how a year went. We often talk about, go back to 17-18 when that team was well below 500 and near last in the NCHC at the holidays. And you mentioned last year you guys were hovering around that 500 mark. I remember as we're doing pairwise and bracketology and everything, there's that question, okay, is UMD going to finish 500 or not? But the struggles this year do feel a little different. I'm wondering how some of the older guys that have been so used to success, and I include you in that group, you've been to Frozen Fours. How has everyone kind of handled it? And did maybe some of what the way like a Louis Rail and a Matt Anderson, how those guys acted last year? You said they just stayed calm no matter what. I'm wondering if that has maybe helped influence you guys and keep things calm, because I haven't sensed much panic in the locker room from many of you guys when things have gone wrong.
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah, it is a little different than last year's struggles this year, I would say. But no, we have what we need on the team to win against anybody. On any night. So it's that calmness of there's no need to panic. Like, it doesn't need to be a big change. You don't need to freak out, yell at guys. Like, we just have to do it as a team. Like, everybody has to be there doing it, and you can't sometimes force guys to do it. Like, you can try your best, but
I feel like we need Wyatt to give the fan base a pep talk each week here.
I was about to ask, with how big UMD hockey is in this community and how high the expectations are of this program, given how successful it's been over the past decade plus. You're a guy that I feel like had a lot of expectations coming in as a freshman, certainly more now as a junior and a leader on this team. But how do you individually and the team as a whole, or how do you tell these freshmen to limit the outside noise? And 2 weekends ago, not to get too high after you sweep St. Cloud State, and this weekend, not to get too low after you're swept by Western Michigan. There's some ebbs and flows to a college hockey season. Have you gotten better at that in your 3 years here of just sticking within that locker room and not worrying too much about the outside stuff?
Yeah, I would say with COVID, even with COVID year, there was really no outside noise. You kind of. And then you're just playing. There's no fans. There's no nothing. So all you do is play. So, you kind of get used to that. And then even when they add in fans, media, different things, it's still you just kind of play. So I feel like that was a big learn. That helped me a lot for COVID. And Sandy's really good at keeping it within the locker room. We're a team. Everything stays in the locker room. Expectation-wise, for me, as coming in, I've never really worried too much about that. I don't play hockey for that reason, for expectations or for other people. So I haven't had too much of a problem with that.
You're not a social media guy either, if I remember right?
No, not really.
Have you gotten any? Why is that just always been you? No, just shutting off social media. I'm always jealous of the people that can live a life without social media, because I always say, man, I'd love to just quit everything, but my job doesn't really allow me to do that. I've held off on TikTok, but that's about it at this point.
Yeah, I mean, kind of going back to high school, I would kind of do it. I would just delete it for a while and just kind of play hockey, enjoy. Like, high school I was a little bit more extreme. I'd go without my phone for a little while just to see if I could do it and mess around. Kind of weird. But no, so this year I kind of just came in and I was like, I really don't want social media. It just uses time and I don't really care about it necessarily. So kind of deleted it, and this has been going on. So now I haven't had it for a while, and it's just kind of normal now.
Minnesota high school hockey, the only probably sport where you have to worry about like just as much social media and fans and everything, speculation and stuff as you would in college or the football. NHL. Yeah, that and Texas football probably. So Wyatt, we talk about you as this veteran, older guy on the team now, but you're still only 20 years old. You're still a young kid here, at least compared to Zach and I. It wasn't too long ago you were an 18-year-old freshman at UMD right out of Andover High School. We got to get as many Andover references as possible for Kelly in this podcast. You had that brief stint in the USHL. I'm wondering, what was the transition like for you back then, stepping onto this older championship team, and has, looking back a couple years now, kind of reflect on it, and how did that go for you?
Hockey-wise, it went pretty well. I mean, we had 3 months of practice, so there was some time to kind of get ready. So it wasn't like where guys are coming in and you're fast paced. Like, it's like you get thrown into, like, you're working out, so you're practicing a lot. You're getting ready for games, like, and then you're thrown in school on top of that. It wasn't like that for me. So you came in and it was like, we were practicing for a month and a half, just captain's practice. So you're kind of getting used to the guys, like, a little bit more comfortable. Then Sandy comes on, and then now it's practice time, and then you battle for another month and a half against each other, so you kind of get a little bit more comfortable within the team, and then we start playing. So I don't know, I would say it was a pretty smooth transition wise, coming into an older team and kind of stepping into a little bit bigger, like a bigger role right away. It's a little tough because it's like, do you deserve this? Like, there's a lot of older guys that have won national championships, like. So I don't know. That was a little tough, but it went well. I didn't have too many problems with it.
At the time, were you kind of going a little crazy though with 3 months of practice and not playing games? Like, now you can maybe reflect on it and be like, wow, that probably helped me out. Unlike, Aiden Dubinsky and Isaac Howard and Cole Spicer, who just get thrown right into the thick of things with a series against Arizona State the first week of October.
Yeah.
Like, do you have a different perspective on those first 3 months now compared to then?
Yeah, I mean, then it was. Then it wasn't even bad because I was just kind of like, not fighting to survive, but it was something new for me. So like the older guys are kind of like, what are we doing? Like, so if I was an older guy at the time, I'd be like, holy, this is long. Like, we're going hard weeks. But like, as a new guy, it's like I kind of wanted to earn my way. So it I didn't mind it at all back then. And I mean, looking back at it, I still don't mind it at all.
Those guys are still frustrated that they didn't get to go after the third straight national championship from a few months earlier. And they're, chomping at the bit to get the postseason going right away. You're one of two Blackhawks prospects on the team, you and Dom James. What's that dynamic like, having a teammate like that, who you could be playing with in the pros someday? And what's it like when you guys are meeting with, whether it's scouts, development coaches, anyone like that?
I don't know. I feel like in the locker room and around, it's your teammates, like your family. It doesn't really matter what's going to happen in the future. Like, you kind of just start thinking right now, like, what do we got next week? Even what do we got for practice? So you don't really think too much about that or even really talk about it necessarily. Meeting with like their staff and different things, you kind of just talk to them like normal. I don't think you really think about too much. I wouldn't say you really think anything special to answer. Like,
who are some of the scouts and coaches that you guys work with in the Blackhawks? A lot of ties between the Bulldogs and the Chicago Blackhawks organization these days, almost as many ties as between Hermantown High School hockey and UMD.
Like, we work with, they have a strength development coach, Christian Burrs. He'll come to games and kind of just check out how we're doing physically, like how's the weight room going, like just making sure like we have the available resources we need to continue to get better. And then on ice, Dom will meet with the forward development guy, and I'll meet with like the defensive development guy. And then, I mean, sometimes different scouts are coming or assistant GMs or different things.
You guys have gone through this, everybody who's drafted and now at UMD, kind of one time before when you committed first to college and then had to continue with your high school career, your junior career for some. So you've kind of gone through this where there's a next stage after where you're at already. But do you have to be intentional, or for you, does it come pretty naturally? Or do you know some guys who have to kind of turn that part of their brain off and say, I'm not worried about that next step, and this is what is going to help me get there in the end, but this is where my focus needs to be?
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody thinks about it, to be honest. I mean, every kid grows up wanting to play in the NHL. It's not something like, you'd be a liar if you told me that you don't think about that. Like, so you obviously think about it in times, but no, I mean, you just try to stay in the present as best you can. Like, obviously, sometimes you're going to get a little ahead of yourself and look into it. But no, I try at least not to at all. I just try to stay in the present, enjoy day to day, continue to play hockey and have fun. I mean, so that's kind of how I approach it. And, you can sometimes use it as a motivation too. Like, if you want to, like, you try to better yourself to get to that next level as well.
So you're saying it doesn't matter if a guy's drafted or not. They're thinking about that next level, and that probably happens even in high school and juniors and every level of hockey. There's no difference, you think?
No, I would think there's always, and it depends how much desire you have to play too, like at the next level. So, I mean, some guys maybe kind of not lost the dream, but don't have the dream as much. Maybe it's a little bit farther of a reach, or they don't not necessarily want it as bad, but they just kind of have faded off a little bit, so maybe they don't think about it as much and are kind of thinking what's next in their life. Or I mean, you're always thinking in the future a little bit. I mean, you try not to maybe, but you're wondering what you're going to do next. I mean, I don't know, it's a big thing after college hockey. If you don't continue to play what's next in your life, you stop playing hockey after that's all you've done for 16 years of your life. So obviously you think about it a little bit.
But to get to that point, you have to really play well here and improve your skills. So, I mean, the coaching staff obviously isn't new to this. They've had drafted players. They've had guys leave early. They've had guys stay for 4 or 5 years and then go on to good pro careers. But, I mean, this program has gotten pretty good, and I assume most programs across the country like UMD have gotten pretty good, that they know that if they get your best for 3 or 4 or 5 years, whatever it is, then you'll have a good chance of going on to the next one. So it feels like that relationship with the UMD coaches is pretty well established at this point too.
Yeah, I mean, I would say pretty much across college, if you have a good 3-4 years, you have a very good chance at moving on and playing. Like a lot of the guys on last year's team or my freshman year, a lot of the older guys that have done well have moved on and are doing well in professional leagues.
We should talk about, this segues great into my kind of last question here and topic before the break. Noah Cates, your teammate from last year. I feel like you're kind of in a similar spot, at least from my perspective. Zach can chime in and tell me, Matt, you're entirely wrong here. But, from the outside, we'll give the outside perspective. I feel like you're kind of in a similar spot to Noah Cates, a guy that when you watch play looks like they're ready to make that jump to the next level. I think Noah was definitely that guy as a junior, even though he was playing center. Wow, little did we know that was going to be a good move for him as a junior here now. But everyone kind of assumed that Noah Cates was moving on to the next level after his junior year. Talked to some of your teammates too that admitted they were surprised when Noah came back. Jackson signs and you're thinking, all right, couple hours here, Noah's going to be sided with the Flyers here too, or maybe they're going to spread the announcement out a little bit, 24 hours, so big brother can have his day and then little brother can come in. But Noah came back for another year, kind of to surprise a lot of people in college hockey. And now we see him in the NHL. I say you listen to John Tortorella talk, and Noah's might be his favorite player on that team right now. Do you look at Noah's experience at all? Do you look at anyone else's experience in college hockey and think, does that influence how you start thinking about your future? And we're not going to ask you here have you made a decision on next year yet? Because you probably haven't, and you probably shouldn't make a decision at this point. But as you're thinking about the future, do you look at guys like Noah Cates and say, wow, there is a different way to do this? You don't have to just jump to the next level right away.
I mean, yeah. I mean, not really, though. I don't really look at everybody has their own path, to be completely honest with you. So, I mean, other guys are going to leave after their freshman year. Some guys are going to stay all 4 years, and everybody can be successful in different ways. So it's just kind of how you feel. If you're think you're ready, if you are realistic with yourself and say, I need another year to develop some skills, mentally, I need to work on things. I mean, there's a lot of different things that goes into a decision like that. So, no, I mean, Noah is definitely I look up to him a lot. So definitely I like his decision, and I've talked to him kind of just about what he thinks about certain things. So, no, I mean, it's nice to get as much information as you can.
Two things about Noah's path. One was, I think when he came back and made the decision to return as a senior, it was pretty obvious who was going to have the C on his jersey as the captain of this team. If you come back, it might be a fairly similar decision as one of the kind of de facto leaders. But does that matter? I mean, how much would it mean to be the leader and have that letter on your chest if you come back as a senior?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it'd be an honor, but I don't shoot to be like a captain. I'd like to be completely honest. Like, I'll lead if I can lead, or if they want me to lead, but I just want to play and I want to win with the guys we have and do the best we can. So, no, I mean, I think Noah also he was the captain junior year, so he came back and was obviously the captain. Whatever Sandy wants is what I'll give him.
The second thing about Noah, that to pull the curtain back a little bit on some of these conversations from a broader sense that we've had with Scott about players in a situation like yours where maybe they're making a decision to leave early or come back, is he's often told us, do players want a contract or do they want a career? And he separates them like that. Maybe some players are ready to leave and they can get that first contract, but maybe if they come back to college for another year or two, they can develop a longer career, whether it's in the NHL or another professional league. You mentioned being ready to leave from your skill set and your situation. So how much does that play into it? Is that just a totally individual and conversations with your family, your coaches, your advisors? Where are you in that regard of, I'm setting myself up for hopefully a long stint in the NHL?
Yeah, I would say I'm not super talkative about it. A lot of my own development I kind of keep within, to be completely honest. You talk to people for sure, but I mean, a lot of the day-to-days, you're just by yourself. It's not like people are going to necessarily hold your hand and whatnot. But no, I mean, like I've always said, I don't care money-wise. Like, I don't play hockey for money. Like, so it doesn't, I just want to play hockey. So like, as long as I can play hockey that's the path that I want to go down. So whatever that takes or whatever path that is, that's what I want to do.
All right. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we'll have more with Wyatt Kaiser. You're listening to the Bulldog Insider Podcast, brought to you by Essentia Health.
Hey there, my name is Wyatt Buckner, and I'm the host of the Duluth News Tribune Minute Podcast. Hear the most important news of the day, including weather and sports from Duluth, Minnesota, and from around the Northland. Join me and my fellow reporters as we take you through the local news you need to start your day. Episodes are released Monday through Friday and are available on Apple, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you for supporting local journalism.
Hi, I'm Maria Lockwood, a reporter with the Superior Telegram. Explore Superior and Douglas County history with me on Archive Dive, a monthly podcast available at superiortelegram.com or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Welcome back to the Bulldog Insider Podcast, brought to you by Essentia Health, Orthopedics, and Sports Medicine. They're proud to be the team physicians for the UMD Bulldogs and provide sports medicine care to more than 25,000 student athletes in the community to ensure they can compete at the highest level while protecting their long-term health and athletic futures. Thanks to Essentia Health for their support of the Bulldog Insider Podcast. I'm Matt Wellens, joined by my co-host Zach Schneider, and our guest this week, Wyatt Kaiser of Andover. Is that enough Andover hits there, Kelly? Let us know. Some quick hits to close this week's episode. We were talking earlier this season. Your mom, Sarah, is a nutrition and a nutritionist and dietitian, right?
Yep.
What did a typical meal look like for the son of a nutritionist and dietitian growing up? Because I'm thinking about like what I feed my 4-year-old Jack, which is hot dogs, mac and cheese, cereal. He loves fruit. He'll eat any and all fruit. So, I mean, he's getting that. But yeah, he's a 4-year-old. What did a traditional meal for you look like growing up?
I nothing like special. Just like there's lots of fruits and vegetables that she would make us try. Not make us, but it was kind of like, hey, try this. Just try it. And so you try it. But no, so I mean, I liked a lot of vegetables and fruits. I really don't like
hot dogs, mac and cheese.
I don't mind those, but like zucchini's about the only like vegetable I don't really like. Maybe kiwi, but no, I mean, so she would like. There's just a lot of different variety, good proteins, like a lot of. There's very complete meals. Like you had chicken or pork chops or just different kind of proteins, and you throw in like a rice and you always had vegetables. So there's always just different components. And I mean, for sure we'd eat mac and cheese sometimes, hot dogs. Like, I mean, she's not super strict where you come and it's like this is what you're eating now. Like she's pretty relaxed about it. Like as long as you're eating 80% healthy, 20% not is usually kind of the rule.
Sounds like that's going to be part of your life, whether hockey's in the picture or not. 20 years from now, after your career is over, it sounds like that's just kind of the way that life is for you.
Yeah, no, and then I've kind of come to enjoy cooking a lot, so I really don't mind cooking healthy meals or different things. So yeah, I have no problem with it, and I like when I eat healthy, I feel good. So whether I'm playing hockey or not, that'll definitely probably be something I'm doing.
What's your favorite home cooked meal from mom?
I really don't have one, to be completely honest. Like there isn't one meal that they would make all the time. Like grandma's hot dish is always good. They just Swedish meatballs. There's all kinds of different things, but like no, there's not one meal that stands out as that's the meal to go to.
What's your specialty as a cook?
I wouldn't say I really have a specialty. I mean, my specialty is making work with what I got because I don't like to go to the grocery store. So I'll throw together some random things a lot of the times and just make it taste good. So no, I mean, I like making salmon a lot. Quinoa or rice, or saute some onions and mushrooms. You just throw things together.
So you can just pick some random ingredients and come up with something, huh?
Yeah, I mean that's.
You'll come up with something.
Yeah, I come up with something. Sometimes it tastes really good. Sometimes like, well, that didn't really work out. But no, I mean it's fun to just try things like that. I think at least not just follow kind of a recipe.
Do your teammates eat what you cook?
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes they eat. Callie or Dom or whatnot will come eat a little bit. But no, I mean.
They'll let you know if it worked or if it didn't.
Mm-hmm.
What teammate would you trust most to cook a meal for the boys?
What teammate? Probably like in my house or just teammate in general?
Just teammate in general.
I don't know. Like Lowhite, I know he cooks himself meals a lot. Tanner's pretty dialed in to exactly. The measurements will be perfect. Dash is a pretty good cook, so any of those guys really.
It's the older guys who are doing most of the cooking. The younger guys don't do a lot.
Yeah.
But you guys as younger guys had to, your freshman year, you had to know how to cook, right?
Oh, yeah. No, I cooked freaking 2 meals a day, I think.
So who among that, did you have to help? We won't make you name names, but did you have a couple guys who were struggling, maybe you had to help cook some meals with?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
To start?
I would say, I mean, yeah. Guys just don't, there's some guys that just don't really like to cook a lot, and so they don't. They just get food a lot. So, Darian's good. Stezzy and Millie are pretty good at cooking. In my room, it was Connor and Blake. Those two didn't really like to cook a ton.
Well, Blake could just run home for 2 meals a day if he needed to.
Yep.
And Stezzy, I feel like, is a Cohasset guy, probably the master at shore lunch. Probably really good at bringing in some fish and cooking that up for you guys, right?
Not even close to Darian.
Oh, Darian is he's
the fisherman.
That's the fisherman? All right. How did your younger sister, Madison, end up a Gopher?
She was in 8th grade, and she's playing boys hockey and playing on a line with, like, Gavin Thorson and Cooper Conway, third on the team on points, and Gophers committed her.
You weren't able to influence that one at all?
Oh, I didn't know anything about the Bulldogs at that time.
Did she commit before?
Oh, yeah.
She committed way before you, huh?
Yep.
That was under the old recruiting guidelines.
Yeah, they got her
too.
They were changing it like the next year, so they committed her like as hard. They went for as hard as they could before they had to wait till junior year.
So backwards then, did she have any? You can't go to UMD. I'm going to Minnesota. Was there any of that sibling the fun back and forth?
No, we were both North Dakota fans.
Really?
So we didn't really care too much.
So you both went to a rival.
Yeah.
How'd you end up growing up a North Dakota fan?
So my dad played football there.
Okay.
My mom went there as well, so I had my whole room painted. My cousin played there, so no, I was a big North Dakota fan. As hard as it is to say, but it just is what it is.
And your parents are okay with you guys their kids going to the Bulldogs and Gophers, huh?
Yeah.
It's Bulldogs versus Gophers on March 19th for the national championship at Amsoil Arena. Who are you rooting for?
Like the girls team?
Yeah, women's national championship.
Gophers.
You're gonna. I think you've said this before.
The Gophers.
Gophers. You were rooting for the Gophers when they were here earlier too. That doesn't create an animosity with the team down the hall from you guys at all?
Not really. I mean, we don't really. I honestly this year haven't interacted with them really at all, to be completely honest. So.
All right. We will wrap it up there. That's all the time we have this week on the Bulldog Insider Podcast. Wyatt, thanks so much for joining us this week.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
You can find Bulldog Insider on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe and rate us for more Bulldogs hockey coverage. Visit therinklive.com and DuluthNewsTribune.com. No men's hockey this week. They get the week off, at least the week off from hockey. Women hosting St. Cloud State Senior Weekend. Zach, what's the TV schedule look like?
Just the finale, Saturday at 3 o'clock for Senior Day, although the women last weekend clinched a home playoff spot, so they'll be at Amsoil Arena again here in a couple weeks. But Saturday, 3 o'clock, Tom Hansen this weekend will have the call on My 9 Sports.
Thanks to our sponsor, Essentia Health, for their support of the Bulldog Insider Podcast, and thanks to all of you for listening. We will catch you next week.